Welcome, good afternoon. Thank you for being here. I know it's a bad time right now after lunch, but welcome here to this special edition. We will speak about virtual reality. Let me introduce myself. I'm Óscar Hormigos, the founder of the Update, and I will moderate the debate here today. So I will pay attention to people following us on streaming. You will be able to ask questions at the end as well. So as you may know, this initiative, this big initiative we're having here, and this morning we were able to try out VR devices. So let's see if we can launch the video. So the update has been working for 5 years. We work with the Telefonica Foundation every 2 months, and we're holding virtual reality sessions. We try to inspire people to tell others about what's going on in the world of applications. And here you can see that we're speaking about different topics, gastronomy, football, magic. So if you're interested in putting the VR world into context, and if you want to be connected to the virtual reality world, I'll put this link here. So what you're seeing here is an image from the World Exhibition in 1992 in Seville. And at that time, we were already talking about virtual reality. So you have here with us big players in Spain that will speak to you today, and they will tell you about their projects. So the first thing is that, it's not something new. We've been talking about virtual reality for a long time now. And at that time, in the World Exhibition in Seville, we were already talking about it. So in 2013, a revolution happened out of the hands of Palmer Luckey. His last name was revealing, and he's beating world records in as a Kickstarter. So he's trying to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. And until now, virtual reality needed big machines, and he thought like we could create something with a low cost with the Retina display screens. And suddenly, this guy here came up, Mark Zuckerberg. You probably know him. So Facebook bought Populous with $1.5 billion. So everything gained speed, and Oculus had a lot of projects in mind, but then it all became reality with all the money injected by Facebook. So Mark Zuckerberg says why Facebook invests in virtual reality, and he says that it's very clear to him. People started sharing text, and then when people were able to share images, why not doing it? And the same happened with videos. People sharing videos enriches their experiences, and it's something that is easy to share. We're having now special devices, and with 400 euros, you can shoot pictures, 360 pictures. So if this technology is available, people will obviously adopt it because it improves what is existing already. So if you decide that virtual reality, well, speaking about virtual reality, speaking about magic for a lot of people, it's like in Matrix. Should I take the blue pill or the red pill? We're talking about superpowers. It's very difficult to talk about virtual reality if you haven't experienced it. So I would suggest to all of you here to try it out. There's a few places where you can try out virtual reality. So I would recommend that. It doesn't have anything to do with what you could do 4 years ago, last year. So everything is really real right now. So you almost have the possibility to, to move to another place. It looks very real. And the first person who gave me the virus of VR told me that story. There's this, you might have a 2 euros experience with the cardboard. So as when you're using cardboard glasses to any mobile device, a smartphone, and there's another kind of experiences, a more enriched experience because the lens is good. You can adjust the lens, and you with the Samsung gear, getting close to the Oculus desktop experience. But then there's other devices on the top of the pyramid. When you put on a jacket and gloves, it's a big world of experiences in the virtual world, virtual reality world. Then there's the PlayStation connected to the VR. There's a big potential with consoles, devices, computers, the hardware you will use to turn VR into something real. So for those who don't know that world, you'll be able here to speak creators of VR talk here. And right now we're going through a time, where it's like when Steve Jobs was talking about the iPhone. It's a new wave right now. It's not a tsunami. It's going to be groundbreaking, and I will give you some thoughts. What would you do if you were in the year 2007 of the app era? That is something that is happening again. We are in 2015 right now. We know what happened in the world of apps, and we are in the year zero of VR. People say that the year zero of VR, the VR world, is 2015. Some people say it's 2016, but if you try out VR, you will understand that it's not like when we were talking about the internet, mobile internet, sorry, but at that time it was something you didn't want to have really until iPhone came. We didn't see any big change of paradigm. And it's the same for virtual reality. We're in the year zero. Now the new iPhone of VR appeared, and people is trying to understand what's behind. And that's what I want to tell you. It's a real revolution. No matter your field of work, you need to gain experience. We will tell you about it today, but you will need to experience it on your own. The cardboard glass is the minimum experience, and I invite you to try something at an upper level. So now I will introduce you to people who've worked in virtual reality in Spain. So first, I have Edgar Martín-Blas, the CEO and creative manager of New Horizons. He will tell us about his experience. And he's, started a lot of changes in Spain. So Edgar, the floor is yours. So let's change to the PC. So we're seeing here people participating with Twitter, but you have the video here on your left.
Don't slouch. 1, 2.
Okay, I like to start with that video. That's VR for me. When I watched Mary Poppins a few years ago, I felt like I wanted to be part of that movie, to be inside that piece of art. So VR allows us to do that. It's something magical to me that brings along a lot of positive things. And why not? Why not be a part of that movie? this adventure started 2 years ago, approximately, and a lot of things happened during those 2 years. I will tell you about it. So 2 years ago, I was working at 20. I was in charge of creation. I was a creative manager, and I was quite happy working there. And I heard through social networks that they had invented a device called Oculus, and I heard how they could find out a solution for all the problems with virtual reality, and they were using lenses. And I thought, why not acquire it and see how it works? If not, I will have my gadget to play video games. So what happened? Suddenly, I received that gadget on that day. So I placed it on my head and I tried to watch some content. You know, it was easy to find content, but I tried this preliminary version, and the optical effect you could get was quite nice, but I was especially surprised by the sensation I was getting. You know, this feeling of going fast when you're driving a car. My body was being prepared to turn right. So it's not only about technology. I was connecting myself with a different channel. So I stopped everything. I thought, how is that going? You know, how is that working? How can I create content for that? And I realized that that technology was part of the past and the future as well. You know, it was something that existed before but had died. So it was difficult to find people working in that field as well. And I wanted to get in touch with them and start to generate content for the cinema industry or with the pictures format or any other. But we were starting to design the launch of a new channel. So it was something that had to reach every corner of the world. And I can tell you about a nice anecdote. So when I started to create content, I realized that I have a problem with scales. What I was creating, this 3D table, for instance, looked very small. It looked like a mini table. So I ran an experiment, a fast experiment, that was to recreate my desktop in the physical world and in the virtual world, so you could compare both. And I discovered a 20% distortion. So I wrote that in Twitter. People started retweeting it, and people from Oculus asked for my friendship on LinkedIn. I realized that it was not very popular at that time. You know, a lot of work had to be done, and I started to learn more about it. I will tell you about our philosophy at my company. So that's our presentation. We usually don't use any PowerPoint because this is so primitive, all this VR field. That's something that needs to be defined, created from scratch. So we're trying to get to our customers by telling an adventure, the adventure that happened to us during these 2 years, and we want to write our future story.
Si vas a por ello, puedes equivocarte. Puede costarte el coche, un par de dientes, tu próximo ascenso. Puede que haga frío. Puede que te hagas daño. Puede que pierdas la cabeza, las formas, la legalidad. Puede suponer el ridículo, el desprecio o la soledad. Pero si vives como tú quieres, hasta las últimas consecuencias, quizá, y solo quizá, llegues a ser quien eres.
No.
2 Doble o nada. Voldam. 2 Doble o nada. Voldam. 2 Doble o nada. 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 2 Doble o nada.
So with that premise, so they contacted me when I was in 20, and so I already knew how to create content, and I thought, well, within 2 years I will be well positioned, and it will be easy for me. But suddenly they started calling me, and they were asking me to tell them about virtual reality. So I was assisting meetings where everything was becoming like a party, and suddenly 20 people would come in the meeting room, and they would think of thousands different things, and suddenly the producer of a video game would come in, and I thought, that's not a technological wave like others before. That's a real tsunami. So this will just wipe out a lot of current technologies. It really connects with people. In one single meeting, we're able to do something that would have taken years in other cases with other technologies. So I worked with Juan Carlos, who's here with us, and we started creating the first marketing and advertising projects with virtual reality. So every time you were doing something, it was like putting our flag on it, because we were the first one working in e-commerce, for instance, and it was the same with everything. So it was really fun to do. Since that time until now, we're speaking about 8 months. We've been running against the clock, and we've seen how this technology is reaching all sectors, and we are more and more people embarked in that industry. So the first time I heard about virtual reality, what was being done, was 2 years ago, and people used to see me as a geek, and I was, they was seeing me explaining the gadget I was using, and they looked at me as a geek. But now there's companies working virtual reality, groups are getting together and working in that field. So it's a really great moment in time, and Spain is becoming a pioneer with very little equipment, hardware, and investment, but with a lot of imagination. We are carrying out projects with an international outreach, and the people sitting here are participating now in those projects. It's a real adventure, like our advertising for Voldam. A round of applause for him. So I invite now Nicolás Alcalá to come here to the stage. I changed Edgar's name. Sorry, it's Edgar Martín-Blas. But you can follow him on Twitter as well. So Nicolás, now it's your turn. The floor is yours. So try to keep it short, within 5-6 minutes, if you can. You can remain seated or stand up to you. Okay, I will remain seated. So I will try to be brief and tell you about the reasons why I'm here. So I like using the word hacker. You were asking me how do I define myself, and I usually say story hacker because I like that word. Hackers for me are those people who are researching on how things work, trying to understand the underlying mechanisms. And that's a bit what I've been trying to do with my work. So 5 years ago, I was inspired by these generations of filmmakers who are using new technologies, changes in paradigms to invent the future of the cinema industry. So I invited a project, The Cosmonaut. And in that movie, made in Spain, we try to use technology and innovation to the world of cinema. So we uploaded the raw products to the internet, and it was really groundbreaking. But it was difficult. It was really difficult. So the cinema industry was always bringing technology and innovation to a conservative world. So with Fast Forward, I discovered virtual reality. That was the perfect combination between technology and history. That's something based on technology. As I say, it's someone who's using technology and its future is related with stories. The content you need to generate, you put it inside. So whenever you try virtual reality, that will help you to be really amazed at what is being conveyed with the content. So it's a really nice point in time because we're starting everything from scratch. You'll realize that we're talking to you as if we were pioneers or like as if we were kids playing with a new toy. And it's kind of the case. So that's our last project. It's a small making of our last movie. It's something for AXN, the series channel. Can you have the audio, please?
This is a scene where some guys are chasing after another people, and you can see what's behind the cameras. I spend almost half day inside the car, and you don't need to be behind the camera. So we're now in the process of learning how to do everything. This last project, which will be ready in a couple of months, you can see the trailer in internet, by the way. You can watch it online. And this is our favorite project, which is whose name is Tomorrow. It talks about the origin of language and the future of language in virtual reality, which is going to be an adventure in several places. These are some snapshots, and there will be a part that is recorded, another part in 3D, which will be talking about the origin of language. So we are really eager to show it to the world. And now I would like to focus on what in telling good stories. So this is it. Thank you. You have sticked to the time perfectly. I wish our next speaker will do the same. Thanks. This is Cristian. A round of applause. Our next protagonist is Cristian Domínguez. As most of the people here are CEOs and founders, his company is Virtual Realities. He's CEO and founder, as I'm saying, and he will talk about his projects. Thank you, Cristian. As Edgar was saying, I also a rock and roll lover, but only half, because I'm also half hacker. And then I will show you what's been my professional career. I studied cinema for 2 years in San Sebastian, then electronics and virtual reality have been like a slap on my face, because this is something that I discovered and it was a game changer. The company that I created together with my partner Javi is in AXN, is based on 360 video producer. This is one of the first that were created for this specific purpose, for producing 360 virtual reality videos. And we've had a very important component of R&D, and I would like to show you first one of the projects we've been working on for several months. This is a work in Gregorio Marañón in a hospital, and this is one of the very few projects that is not for advertising, which is not paid by a brand. This is something we did on our own, and you learn what to do with them. But I'm only going to show a couple of highlights here. There is no audio, but it is very interesting to see. Here we have a series of signs, and what she is doing, she is a doctor, and whatever he is doing, they have to do a series of synchronized movements. So let's imagine you would need to learn it it's 160 steps in a row. So you can imagine how much it means to learn one step at a time. So in a video, it will be a take of his hands, a take of her hands, then a general take, then cuts. So it would be very difficult. But in a 360 video, you will have a global vision of the room. You understand the timing, you understand the movements, and you clearly see what she is doing and what he is doing. And we also included a series of signs where you have a warning sign, saying or providing some information that the doctors wanted us to include. These are the degrees where you need to be sitting and all the necessary information for the tests that we've been doing, that we've been preparing. You truly learn. There is an advanced learning process instead of watching a normal video or reading a book. The fact that you are within the virtual reality video, all your senses are focused and paying attention to what is happening in the video. This is like traveling. When you arrive for the first time into Paris airport and your brain says, hey, be careful, you don't know this place, so wake up, focus, and guess whatever is happening. And when you take your glasses, your VR glasses, this is just the same. I am now going to show you a small slide with pictures so that you have a general overview of the process that we've been going through in this adventure. This was the first frame that we created. This is something we can buy online. Around 1 year ago, there was a series of commercial agents selling these kind of mounts or frames. And generating a sphere, you could record a 360 video. But this was not enough for us. We created our own, which was solving many of the problems of these frames, so that the script and the whole movements of the film will be taken. If you need to go around the camera, this will be cut because of a series of failures of the cameras. So what we did was solving these kind of problems in first stage, and then starting to hack. As Nico has said, we changed lenses, and there were action cams, but you can use them for many more purposes. We underwent a great learning process. We were in our studio, and we had to record a story, and we didn't know how to do it. So let us make it up. Let us invent the way we can record it. Let us make some tests, and then we start recording. So that's what we did. Here we can see the difference in lenses that we've been using. And there are some prototypes that we've also created with telescopic cameras, with cardboard and tape, because this is how we do hacking in the beginning. These are some of the more advanced prototypes. Then we have the casing. You may buy some things in Decathlon, then you use some glue and tape, and you mount a camera. There are no forums, there are no cameras like that you can buy. So you need to, you have your own concepts, and you need to apply them to get the best result possible. These are some of the designs of cameras that we've been working with. These are cinema cameras with which we've been working. And this is like this is a series of GoPros that you put in a row, in a circle, and then you start recording. These are interaction devices that we've also worked with, things that we've discovered in the US, which we've been traveling to for a couple of times to see what they do there. And these are just some more examples of cameras, so that you can basically have an idea that this is quite an open world. You can build your own 360 camera yourselves. You don't need a very big know-how. You just need hours of work and trial and error. This is the only thing you need, and have access to optics and lenses, etc. This is another Rift that we have created with Sony ATS, so that we can simultaneously record the whole sphere. We are doing some works in the US, and that's it. Thank you. A round of applause for Cristian. He also stick to the time. And now, before being totally emblazed with your video and starting with the questions, we have one final presentation. I will now invite Xavier Conesa, his Client Services Director at VISYON 360, and I will also ask him to stick to time. Thank you, Óscar. I will try to do it as much as possible. As he said, I'm Client Services Director at VISYON. For all of those that know us, VISYON is a digital service company that offers immersive experiences through new technologies, emerging technologies, and the generation of content. I could explain the tens of projects with 360 videos that we have created, the virtual reality environments that we have created, but I would prefer to take the opportunity in this forum to explain what is VISYON. For all of those of you who are here, we have the privilege to be part in the birth of a new industry. This is a new industry that offers us a new way to communicate, a new way to interact, and that will be a revolution in our lives in many senses. In VISYON, we are around 45 people. We are a multidisciplinary team working for marketing, audiovisual, communication, and many other sectors, and we are in love and we feel passion for what we do. The virtual reality sector is quite new, so all of us come from different fields, and this is something that I would also like to highlight, because this is part of the DNA in VISYON, our social commitment, so we can give these technologies to the society. Pera, who is the most important person in the company, and he always talks about social innovation, what we can contribute to the society in terms of this kind of technology. At a practical level in VISYON, this is a summary of the 3 bullet points about what we do in the social innovation field. 20% of the resources are allotted to social projects. On the other hand, this is a company with 45 employees, but this is not, the profits are not shared among the partners, but we reinvest them in emerging technologies for the people. So that you can have an idea, during today and yesterday, some of you asked me what is the practical use that we can see in VR. And I will give you some practical examples of things that we've been doing in the social and healthcare sector in a hospital in the Netherlands, where chronic children could have a communication with their families from the hospital or at home. So this person who is sick and alone may be closer to their relatives. Another project that we are developing together with Google is with the Alzheimer's Research UK, is how a person suffering Alzheimer, how can they understand the world and how can we improve their quality of life and feel more integrated. We've also undergone educational projects with the university in Barcelona where we teach the children to understand geometry, spatial geometry. It is not the same to only have a formula than to visualize, to view this formula. We've also had collaborations in the international level with the project Mind Your Head, which is in the UK, where we improved the neurofeedback thanks to virtual reality. Apart from all these partners, we've also had environmental projects. In this case, this is WEM Day. This was an awareness-raising campaign about the environment, together with the Peruvian government for the protection of the Amazonas. Then we have micro actions. In this for this Christmas, we are doing a campaign to have virtual reality and real presentation of clowns in hospitals. Then some days ago, Robert, together with Alejandro and Alberto, were at the hackathon explaining the emerging technologies to children. But VISYON is not an NGO. We are a company. So we have payrolls to pay and we have a structure to maintain. So 80% of the resources are invested, so we have a return on the investment. And I am going to show you a video. I will ask my colleagues to do so, which is the Virgin Holidays case, which shows what is the return on investment when there is virtual reality implemented in the project. Can we watch it?
Highlight of your year, a chance to get away from it all and relax. So why does booking one need to be so laborious and stressful? During Virgin Holidays winter sale, stores face the nightmare scenario of losing people at the final hurdle, with queues causing would-be customers to give up and walk away. We couldn't change the fact that people would sometimes face a wait to be served by store staff, but we could find a solution that turned this into a queue you wanted to be in. Our activation drove Virgin Holidays' most successful sale ever and signified the transformation of the travel industry. Booking a holiday is increasingly a visual decision-making process. To keep people in store, we needed something they couldn't access anywhere else. Something that brought the sensory feeling of a holiday to the queue. Using the latest 360-degree filming techniques and mobile technology, we created an immersive virtual reality experience that transported customers to Riviera Maya in Mexico, a key destination in the winter sale. We launched in 50 Virgin Holidays stores, making this the biggest rollout of virtual reality in the UK ever. Customers could find themselves on an idyllic beach in Tulum, swimming with dolphins, or looking around a beautiful hotel featured in the sale. Staff were trained on how to use the headsets and turn interest into sales. This was no PR gimmick, but a powerful new tool for staff. The promotion achieved phenomenal results. Stores that featured this experience saw year-on-year sales increase 60% more than those without. Even more impressively, sales of Riviera Maya increased 84% year-on-year. This means each headset delivered an ROI of 46-1. Not only had we transformed Virgin Holidays' in-store experience, we'd begun to transform an industry.
Thank you. I will finish very quickly. In this video is the success case of Virgin Holiday. The selling points of Virgin Holiday, these are very small shops in England where there are very long queues. So we recorded 360 videos in Mexico. And then while people were in the queue to book their holidays, we gave them the glasses, these cardboard glasses, so they could watch the Riviera Maya destination in Mexico. So these points of sale in people living these experiences had an increase of 80% of the sales, and in 85% of the cases for Riviera Maya. So the question, is there a return on investment for when there is virtual reality? Yes, there is. Absolutely yes. And not only in this case, I may give many other examples, and these are some of the brands that we're working with for virtual reality projects and other kinds of projects. And they are all going for virtual reality. They all see a return on investment, not only in terms of communication, but also in their points of sale. And apart from these 360 videos, I would also like to have 1 more minute to explain the VR platforms, which are business tools in virtual environments. These are new digital tools. Here we have great projects with 4 big brands that are in 4 very different sectors: VR commerce and monetization of contents, the financial tools, then VR platforms for the sports world and for the music world. Behind them, there are very big companies that are going for VR. And so the step from experiments to the market and return on investment is something that is happening, that is already happening, and we will see this happening in 2016 even quicker. Apart from all this that we are doing, we also have time to do innovation workshops for companies where we invite companies to discover these technologies, because some of us will know them, but many people just don't know and are not familiar with them. They can experiment with them, and then we do brainstormings, and they then apply these brainstormings in their companies. This VISYON was born in Barcelona, then we're also based in London, and thanks to some representatives in the Netherlands, France, Brazil, and since this week we have new offices in Madrid. So this is my presentation. I was a bit quick, but I just wanted to stick to the time. Now we're going to start with the Q&A session. I would like to see a hand raised. Yes, there's one.
Hello. First of all, I wanted to congratulate you for your pioneer of efforts. And secondly, I do film production, like some of you guys, and when I see what VR can do, it's spectacular. And everything's changing right now. You're speaking about 2007, but for me, it's like discovering how to fly. And you've spoken about the new project of Oculus with the museum, where they're recreating that flying experience. And they were saying how the brain is adding elements that do not exist physically, but your brain is thinking they do, such as the sound of wind or... So what was my question? I'm sorry about that. Okay. Yesterday I was watching Samsung's 360 video with the surfers on the wave. And I was really thrilled after watching that. It was spectacular. Thank you. We love to see people who are as motivated as we are. So if you have more questions, yes, here. Thank you. Hello. I'd like to know if some media have gotten in touch with you. Can you apply virtual reality to the news? Yes, I'm excited with your question. We've invented the immersive journalist lab, so we're trying to involve several media to the project. We have the Spanish public TV and people from the Prisa group. So we're trying to create a team to generate 2 projects so that we can experience a bit, because that's a a real revolution what's happening. I don't know if you've seen the launch of the New York Times in VR. It was a trending topic, and they had more downloads than ever as compared with the traditional applications. So the capacity of VR cannot be applied to any kind of news, but it can be applied to, for instance, the aftermath of the Paris attacks, because you could be there through the New York Times. The Syrian border, for instance, we're already creating content. So imagine you see that image that changed our way of perceiving migration, this image of this dead child. So we're generating empathy on the human brain. So that's something very new in the history of humanity. So we're really transforming journalism. I invite all of you who work in the media to get in touch with us. We will have immersion sessions organized, and we will try to help media to work together. We're creating also a VR news channel in Spain, in Spanish. So I'm really excited about that project. I wasn't expecting your question, but really thank you. I wanted to propose something because we're getting till the end of an hour. We're all on Twitter, I believe, so let's create a hashtag FICODVR. And if you have further questions, you can create a small forum and answer all of your questions. Yes, very good. Hashtag FICODVR, very good idea. So we still have 5 minutes. You have a question, right? 10 minutes we have. My name is Aurora Martinez. I created audiovisual media creation agency, and do you have more projects right now with what kind of contents? Fiction, entertainment? Would you be ready to pay for those contents? Yes, we started as a fiction content creation, and then we started with educational content as well. But we're creating content for brands and for third parties, but our main focus is fictional contents. So this is very complex, difficult to work with VR, with virtual reality. We don't know yet if someone wants to play a device and to play VR contents, but so we have several projects we want to carry out next year related to virtual reality. We want to be the HBO of the 21st century, so we want to create different kinds of contents, and we will see if it's going to be directed to the TV series or short films. So we will see what happens in the future, but our ambition is to produce fiction. We are present in Los Angeles and Madrid. And as we said, we have to reinvent things from scratch. So I'm a director, and it's amazing to see that we've done a reset now, and we are the same level as Steven Spielberg in virtual reality. We're inventing a new language. We have to see how the audience responds and to rethink all processes for a movie using virtual reality. So people that come from the movie industry knows much more than me, but in 360 we have to invent all storytelling, and in the end you will have to pay for those contents that are bringing to you more feelings, more emotions. So it depends on everyone. You will pay for what you want to pay, for what you think is worth paying. It's like with the internet. Do you share that view? Well, there's also another important aspect. It's the arrival of live streaming, live contents in streaming. You'll be able to place yourself in those contexts and be maybe on the first row at a Madonna's concert in Barcelona. So we've just invented a new channel. You have TV, radio, and VR is a new channel where everything has to be defined. And the advancements made, the progress made during this last few months has been amazing. In the last 8 months, all investments on hardware or with content creators, with Pixar, Fox, Netflix, they're all acting on the market, and they've launched new products already. With my Samsung's Gear, I can get inside a house in the mountains, for instance, and I'll have Netflix in front of me in a 200-inch screen. And if I lay down on my bed, I will have the screen on top of me in the ceiling. Yes, there's a lot of experiences created with the Avengers, with Jurassic Park, with the new Spielberg movie. Using VR is based on a movie talking about virtual reality, so players are moving very quickly. I'd like to comment on what you were saying about users paying for content. We barely spoke about Netflix, but Netflix is in that gap between 360 feature films and 2D contents in an immersive context. Taking you to where you want to be. It could be your living room, in one of these seats here, any place, and have a big screen in front of you watching 2D content. But I think we'll need to move through that stage before getting to 360 content. Yes, I can pay for content, but in the entertainment world, we were losing track because they could not reinvent digital processes. But suddenly, with virtual reality, you don't apply traditional processes anymore because it's very expensive and there's a lot of middlemen who are taking most of the profit. And here we are going to work with apps you will have in our smartphone. You will download from the Google Store, for instance, and you have your subscription card. You might pay on a subscription basis or pay-per-view basis. I will see. There's a lot of open windows for that. There's also another important thing. We've debated about it with movie producers, people from the movies industry, and we thought this channel could exist along other channels, that we would see a mix of channels. But when you consume high-quality virtual reality contents, you do not go back. We're not talking about content, really. We're talking about experiences. I remember Bison, who was just right next to me, eating grass. And when you take off your glasses, you feel like you were part of the documentary. So when you go back, you start looking at things as something of the past. You don't want to go back. It's like, Arthur movies or black and white movies. We have time for one last question, and then we will gradually conclude. Then we will ask, trying to respond questions from people who are following us on streaming. Okay, so one last question from the audience here. So one easy question. I work in advertising, and I wanted to ask whether you focus your content to advertising festivals in Cannes or other places. Is it an objective for you to make yourselves known to the public? Okay, I'm coming from that world. I've been working in advertising for 15 years. And we are using VR in the advertising sector, and it's very interesting. It's a new medium for customers. And what does that mean? There's no real briefing. Customers just wear the glasses, and they suddenly understand that it is amazing. You don't have to brief them. They start working with you on a project definition straight away. You don't really need to go to a festival and say, my agency is better. No, you can skip that. That's what we were talking about rock and roll. We just show demos to our customers. They see the impact of the content, and they stop everything. So you generate a briefing with the customer through writing on a napkin. So it's a new way of working, and we really like it. Customers become like children once again. This is like a toy. That's what we were saying before. So we're transforming the advertising industry at a very fast pace. Well, we work with a lot of agencies, communication agencies, advertising agencies, and he's right. When you sit down with them, you tell them, okay, well, tell us, I have an idea, but I don't know how to do it. So you sit with them and you work on the experience, how will be the briefing, the final project. And those industries want to make use of that new technology, and they want to know how to get to the end users through this kind of technology. And in the events, the conferences, you see a lot of brands presenting virtual reality products in their stands. Okay, I might earn a few enemies here, but who plays video games here? Yes, a few of you, right? I don't know what you think about it, but I've played video games and I've had really strong experiences, as strong as the best movies I've seen. When is the last time you've seen a video game win a prize, an award at the festival, a movie festival like the Cannes Festival? So there is advertising festivals, it's true, but we want to create relevant things, and then the festival would come. Some last thing? Well, we've seen agencies coming to us with new ideas. They had started developing them, and we could not have a briefing with them, but they were a bit wrong. They didn't have the right focus when it comes to using virtual reality, but it's very easy. You just have to cut right through and explain easily what they need to do. So, for instance, we were placing the glasses on top of someone, and he was getting a bit dizzy, so you cannot do that. And I know that a lot of small agencies have started to work with virtual reality, and some of them, they've hit their head against the wall. So thank you, all of you. We're running out of time. Thank you for being here. So hashtag #VCODVR to continue the discussion here. And just a few questions asked by people following us on streaming. Are you going to create virtual worlds that are better than the real one? Well, it depends on each person's perception of his own world. I would say no. Virtual reality was not invented today, I would say. It's something human beings are applying on their everyday life. So it's a game you can wear and you can design it on your own. That can be magical. So these two elements can live together. And you can say, "Oh, I'm in the real world, and suddenly I want to live in a castle in the 15th century." So that's why this format is going to be very successful. Human beings have always liked to alter the reality. So we're doing the same thing Roman gods used to do, using lightnings and living underwater and everything. So we can use virtual world that we might feel is real in 30 years ahead. But I would believe virtual world is going to be better than the real world. I'm going to use my humanist side. the real world will always be better than the virtual world. You can follow us on Twitter.